Lightning like Steve McQueen. I'm in the fast lane when the light turns green. And I built tough, I ain't nothing but grit. Cause I made rugged blood, sweat, and spit. Yeah, like a horse I fly. Better push yourself in for a bumpy ride. I like to play hard, but I work harder. And I weather the storm cause I'm built stronger.
What is up, ladies and gentlemen? We are back. We are live. It is the Freight Coach Morning Show, the top morning show in transportation, coming to you guys every single weekday, 8:30 a.m. Pacific, 10:30 Central, to break down some industry headlines, and most importantly, provide some actual insight into what you can do with all of this information. If this is your first time tuning in, welcome. This is the real side of freight, ladies and gentlemen, and I say that every day. And what do I mean by that? I only speak to transportation professionals on this show, as well as my twice-a-week long-form podcast, because I want to talk to the right individuals who have done what you're looking to do or who are currently doing what you're trying to achieve, so you can take that information, apply it, utilize it, and see a meaningful difference in your business and your life. It's one of the many, many reasons why I proudly fly this American flag with me every single day. A, we're the greatest nation on earth, but B, I'm living my American dream, and I want to help each and every one of you live yours as well. As you can see, I'm not in my normal area. I'm actually in the studio. I'm in the process of building out right now because the area where I normally do my live streams is getting painted right now. So I'm in the build out studio area, and you guys can't see a ton of it yet because I'm again in the process of it, but it's going to be sick by the time I'm done with it here coming up. But yeah, you guys, today is Q&A day. You guys know what that means. I have a couple of questions that people have DM'd me already. If you guys have any sales or operations related questions for the transportation industry, drop them in the chat. I will answer them live on today's show, and we will get that going here. Let me see here. Corey Buchan, what is up, brother? TGIF to you. To Carla Schaefer, good morning from Houston, Texas. Flo, good morning to you from Toronto. Let me see here. Bill McIntyre, what's up, brother? Good to see you. Stephen Title, Papa Freight, let's go. Good morning, gang. Yeah, we got everything going on here, you guys. It's a busy day today. We got some freight moving. We got a brand new customer we're moving for first load on today. So we're out there making stuff happen. I might have to cut the show a little bit short today because of that. And, because at the end of the day, you guys, I'm out here trying to do this and build this stuff up with you. No matter what, we are making it happen. And also one thing, before we go any further on anything, obviously today we are observing Veterans Day. Veterans Day is tomorrow, the 11th. And, Papa Freight, Stephen Title, he's a veteran. He posted that out there. Thank you for your service, man. I was listening to a podcast this morning. I was listening to Andy Frisella, the Real AF podcast, and they were talking about some stuff on there, and we were kind of talking about this on Wednesday when Cam was on the show, because he had mentioned that it's Veterans Day on Friday today in observance, and I think that it's our duty really to thank everyone. I thank a veteran every day. Like I had mentioned, I don't take any of the opportunities that I have lightly because they were paid for by the individuals who served our country. There's, and then my family members and everything else that have served. All of the opportunities I have today are because of what they've done to pay that sacrifice. And, I think in today's day and age, we've lost sight of that. We've really lost sight of what's important in this country. And what people have done to give us the opportunities that we have today because of the sacrifices, the ultimate sacrifices that a lot of individuals have paid. And, I want to see us get back to it. And, for us to have that happen, for us to have that come back, we all, and Andy Frisella talks about this all the time, about personal excellence being the ultimate rebellion. And I want to honor everybody who has served and has done all of that, who's given me this opportunity to do what I do today, because, free speech, the rights that we have here aren't everywhere. And I think a lot of people don't tend to realize that the rights that we have today were fought and paid for by others. And from our perspective, we really, really, really need to honor that. We got to get back to that, right? I'm doing that. I'm leading by example. in my best way possible. And I'm going to continue to do that. I'm going to continue to speak my mind. I'm going to continue to live to a higher standard every single day, to live out my American dream, unapologetically, right? Like, as I've talked about on my shows in the past, I'm a man of faith. I pray to God every single day. Ultimately, everything that I have today is because of God's blessings. I believe in the United States. I believe in the Constitution. I believe in that flag, the people's flag here. And that's who I am as a person. This is what I stand for. I appreciate everything you guys do to come in and support this. But, I just want to, just remind people that this is who I am. This is what I stand for. And I am unapologetically myself. And I'm not going to stand down from that. I'm not at all. As anybody should, right? Like, you guys should everybody has their beliefs, and everybody should stand by them. And I believe in freedom more than anything. I don't believe in anybody telling us how we can and can't live our lives. Freedom of speech. The First and Second Amendment, I think, are the two greatest lines ever written in documented history. And, I truly believe in the individual freedoms that are out there. And this country, a capitalistic society that we live in, is the only way that people should be able to live. The free market, everything. We should be able to build up businesses. We should be able to live that American dream that I talk about every single day. And, from my perspective, it is the only way to live. Only way to live. And you know what? I appreciate the freedom to run my mouth as well, Micah. I really do. And you guys all should too. You guys should always say what you think and what you feel. And freedom of speech is essential to that. And that's all paid for through everyone who's served to give us that ability, right? So, Flo says we have so many things to be thankful for, especially what's going on right now all over the world. And it's true, right? And we have an opportunity to speak our mind and to put it out there. And you should, right? No matter what, you should do that. So, thank a veteran today, thank a veteran every single day, most importantly. And we're going to get into it. Bill McIntyre says every day we wake up is another blessing. Amen to that, man. I pray to God every single morning that I wake up and thank God for the opportunity to wake up and have another day on this earth. You are so right, man. And Mike says, Flo Morris, so true. All right, you guys. Well, that's going to be my thing. And I am going to definitely continue to do my thing and make stuff happen, you guys. So let's get in. The first question we have today it's actually about bidding strategy. So yesterday, they were watching the show and they were talking about, there was that article that we broke down about having the bid, and about how shippers should get their bid out early. But they asked me, what is my bidding strategy? Are you a short-term or a long-term RFP? What does that look like for you guys? Give me 1 second, you guys. I got a customer emailing me. I got to reply to this here really quick. Just give me one moment here. All right. Sorry about that. Like I said, you guys, I'm actually building the brokerage. I'm actually doing the thing. So I'm moving freight, you guys. I got freight moving out there today. But my bidding strategy it's fairly simple. I always price to move the freight, right? Like, I don't go out there and try and play the game of, I'll just bid low, because I think that a lot of people are going to get busted in this here when the market flips, because it's only a matter of time, right? The market is inevitably going to flip. And I think a lot of people are going to get caught, because a lot of people right now who are bidding RFPs are bidding very, very low. And that is going to put them in a very bad position here. And I don't know if it's going to be in the next 4 months, 6 months, whenever that happens, but it's going to be very challenging to bid, to move that freight. In my perspective on bidding is if it's an RFP, I'm going to, again, I look at cycles, right? I look at the 30, 60, 90, and 1 year mark that's out there, and I see what's that average. And then I also do something that I think is, maybe foreign to a lot of people. I make outbound calls to carriers. I talk to trucking companies and find out what lanes do they want to run. Right? I want to find out where my drivers want to go so I can get the right freight for them for the prices that they want and not the opposite, right? And I think that that's one thing that really helps out with your bidding strategy. So I take the lanes, I utilize the data that's out there, i.e. green screens, who are right here on the screen. The freight that I'm moving today was one based off of the rates that was provided on there. But I go out there and I study that, and then I make outbound calls. I find as many carriers as possible who run these specific lanes, whether it's Phoenix here to LA, Phoenix to Albuquerque, up to Salt Lake City, whatever that looks like. I find that, and then I run with it. And I get the trucks that are running those loads no matter what. Like I was talking to a driver this morning who he runs this region all the time. Unfortunately, his truck isn't available for my shipment today, but he runs these lanes all the time, and then he wants to know about them in the future. So, we talked about some pricing on some specific lanes, and then I bid on based off of that. If it's a last minute load, because this is something that's not talked about as well. If it's a last minute, has to get out right now style shipment from a customer, you're going to have to take that spot market rate. You're going to have to post it up. You're going to have to call carriers in your network and find the right now rate. The right now rate won't get it done tomorrow though. Right. And that's one thing that you need to take into consideration when you are bidding on freight, right? Is this a right now rate? Is this a rate that is going to be good in a couple of weeks? What does that look like? And that is one thing you need to pay attention to as you're going out there in pricing stuff. My long-term strategy though, is I always break down prices over a 30, 60, 90-day cycle. I make phone calls. I try and talk to carriers and find that information out based on lanes. And that's how I price my freight, right? But it's very situational. And I think that from my perspective, a lot of us, when we're getting those last minute loads, when we're trying to get up there and trying to find business, right? Because a lot of those loads are going to be they're going to come last minute, your first couple of ones that you get, right? And a lot of the freight that you get early on is going to be spot market. It's going to be a here, try it out style situation. And you're going to have to utilize load boards. You're going to have to utilize that to find the right now rate in there. But I think that long-term strategy is taking data, it's making calls, and it's coming up with a plan, right? Because it's not always going to be a name your price tool. You have to find carriers that want to run the lanes that your customers want you to run. So that's my personal strategy that I've used throughout my career and that I currently use and that I'm currently moving freight with right now. So take that for what you want, but that's kind of how I do it. Let me see here. Next question I got. This one was from, let me see here. One moment, please. Here it is. This is from one of my driver friends who wrote this one in. I'm an owner op, as you know. How do I tell if a broker's full of shit? I always love it when these questions come in. What can I ask to identify in the broking process, to see if this is a real shipment? I'm sick of getting burnt by appointment times, accessorials, and so on. Please, anything you can do. Again, these are always my favorite ones that come in. And I talk about this often, you guys. I've been a broker for a very long time. I know there's some really shitty behaviors that are out there. I also know the reality of this industry because anyone can go back and forth on any of that. But at this point in my career, in my life, I try and live by example. I can't help the way anybody else operates. I'm only going to do what I'm going to do to make this stuff happen. I think one of the big things, and I talked about this the other day, if you're in the process of booking a load with a broker and they use the term, you'll get loaded right when you show up, or, oh, hey, you're working, they'll get to you right away. That's mainly because they failed on a load the day before. I have only moved two types of loads in my career. First come, first serve, between 8 and 2 or whatever that looks like, or by appointment. And that appointment is strict. And that comes from the shipper perspective and the receiver perspective. I know that there's people out there, you guys, that accept loads and they don't even call the shipper or receiver to see when the load's ready to go. They don't verify load information. They don't verify weights. They don't verify POs, piece counts, anything like that. And they send you in blind. I get that. Out of all the loads that I move, you guys, I know exactly what commodity is going to be loaded. I know the exact weight of the commodity. I move open deck and heavy haul primarily. So I know if it needs to be tarped. I know if it needs straps, edge protectors, chains, PPE, you name it, and so on. So I think if you're hauling this freight, whatever it is, whether it's reefer freight or dry freight, ask questions. And if they can't answer those basic questions, chances are they're full of shit. Okay. And then furthermore, from an accessorials perspective, get it in writing. What about detention, layovers, stuff like that? Because I see that all the time. And that stuff bugs me, right? Because I believe in this. If you're on a load for me and there's a change or there's a delay, I'm going to pay them up front and then I'll get the money back from my customer. All right. I don't believe in making carriers wait to get their money, because frankly, a lot of the time there are people out there who they'll tell you that, oh, hey, just send us the bills. We'll request it. And then they'll request it from their customer. They'll probably realistically, they'll get paid from their customer, but then they're going to tell you that the customer didn't approve it, which is bullshit behavior. Get all of that in writing. And then if you ever get told that, because again, I'll call you and I'll tell you if the customer declined detention for whatever reason, I'll call you and I'll tell you that. But realistically, I'll pay you out of pocket. If the customer says for whatever, oh, we're not paying attention, I'm going to pay the carrier out of my pocket because it's not their responsibility to wait for the accessorials. Now, each company is going to operate differently out there, but I think if you're going to find bullshit, you got to ask specific questions in there. And because if they can't answer it, that's your biggest problem. If they can't answer it, that's your biggest problem right there. And from my perspective, you need to ask all of that stuff. You need to get a lot of that stuff in writing on the front end, and I hate this stuff. I really hate seeing good people get screwed over. And, I know this individual who wrote me this question. I'm not going to say who they are. And I know what they're going through to try and keep their business profitable. Every dollar counts, you guys. And I want you to keep that in mind because I used this example the other day because it's only a matter of time. If you tell a carrier that the shipper or the receiver denied detention when you got paid for that, and then they call the shipper or the receiver, or they find your customer's information and they call that customer, and then that customer calls you and says, hey, so-and-so carrier called me and said they didn't get paid any detention. We paid you detention, And from my perspective, I've had that conversation and that's not fun. And that customer specifically told me, if you ever do this again, I'll pull all your freight from you. So if you know how you would answer that and handle that in the moment, maybe you're smarter than me, but chances are you're not because you won't have a way to talk yourself out of that because the customer knows you lied right at that exact moment. So take that into consideration as you're out there. But again, drivers, vet your brokers at the end of the day. Vet them, and vet them. And you need to ask very specific questions. If it sounds shady, if they can't answer basic stuff, move on. I know freight volumes are low right now, you guys. I do. I know that opportunities are tough. And from my perspective, we really need to have those conversations on the front end with all your service providers out there. So take that in consideration on vetting them out. If they can't answer what the PO number is, if they can't tell you what the weight of the shipment is, if they can't tell you basic information about the load, they're full of it. And I wouldn't go along with it. Right. And then, another thing, you guys, and a lot of, because again, we were talking about bidding strategy earlier today on this call. A lot of people take truck in hand rates and then they provide it to a customer. And brokers, I understand that sometimes those are the options that you get. Let the carrier know if you didn't win the load, or let the carrier know in the booking process or the bidding process, like, hey, I'm working this. I got to provide this rate to my customer. I will let you know if I win this load. It's a spot market load. It's a same-day opportunity. A same-day opportunity. Just be honest with them, you guys. Honesty is truly the best policy. It's always easier said than done. I get it. I'm a human being. All right. But those are people's livelihoods that are out there. And that could be possibly withholding that driver from getting home to their family for the weekend if they've been out for a couple of days or missing a birthday or a family event. So take that in mind as you're sitting there behind your computer, and knowing that you're going to go, you're just a couple hours away from going to happy hour or something like that. So take that into consideration as you're booking loads, you guys. That's going to be a way to vet your carriers out or vet your brokers out. That's what I would do. I would start there. But I have to, or excuse me, today's show is going to be cut a little bit short, you guys. I got freight moving. I just got another email from my customer about moving some additional shipments, and I got to get to it, you guys, because again, I'm in this with you every single day. I'm out here. I'm building this stuff up, you guys. So that'll be it for today. That was the Q&A day that we have. We'll be back on Monday, 8:30 a.m. Pacific, 10:30 Central. We'll be breaking down some industry headlines. As always, you guys, if you guys got value in what you heard today, subscribe to the show. Share it out there to your network. That's how we're number one in the industry. This is how we're going to help more people as well with this content, is through each and every one of you. And the fact that if you see value, your network will see value as well. I appreciate you guys. I love you guys. And we'll be talking to you soon.